All right, so whether you believe in God, the universe, or just the randomness of life, one thing's for sure, suffering happens to everyone. It's part of being human, and we all feel it. For many, suffering is why they give up on the concept of God. It's hard to believe a loving creator could allow some of the hardship that goes on throughout the world. It's ironic because suffering is when our divine source is actually closest to us if we're aware, but don't worry, that's not the answer here. You've probably never heard this answer before. Let's address the cliche answer first. Why does God allow suffering, many ask? One common answer is that suffering is here to teach us, to help us grow. I won't dispute that. Suffering does teach us and often forces growth. In fact, it was my own low point that led to me finally getting back into writing and then making those writings into videos. I grew. I looked back at other travesties I somehow survived, and each time I grew. But that's not the full answer here. That's just a hint of what's really going on. Let's stop blaming God and look at the suffering itself. Why do we suffer? We're not talking about physical pain, as that certainly causes people to suffer, but we mean the mental anguish of suffering itself. The wisdom of two giant spiritualities, yogic and Buddhist, have a word for what causes suffering, kleshas, Sanskrit for poisons. They agree that among the causes of suffering are having a big ego, attachment to people and things, repulsion and aversion, and fear of death and the will to live. But one of these is the greatest of all and is the root cause of suffering: spiritual ignorance. This is considered the trunk of the tree of suffering. What is spiritual ignorance exactly? It's not trusting our creative source. All the spiritualities warn against it. Even Jesus chastised his disciples for not having enough faith whenever they worried. So really, suffering comes from expecting things to come out our way and seeing anything outside of that as the wrong way. It comes from putting our will over the will of our creative divine source. Or better yet, suffering is not fully trusting that everything happening is meant to be and helping us to reach a greater good. The end of suffering is to believe in the comic ending of the universe, the uniting of souls, even quantum physics finally making sense. It is to believe that love is the answer. So yes, suffering helps us grow, but God didn't put it there. He gave us free will and free minds. We'll see our loved ones again. We survive death. The soul carries on as consciousness. Light wins over darkness. These are spiritual truths. Want proof? Check out the evidence of soul survival. It'll change how you see everything. Here's the best part. We don't actually have to suffer to grow when we learn to see the full picture, to trust, to realize there's absolutely nothing to fear in the universe except our own fear, which is based in spiritual ignorance. The spiritual wisdom that unites all religions is trusting in the power of love.